So our speaker tonight is Miss Carrie King. We just met her last year when we started this meeting. We've been doing this for, I guess last week was a year that we've been doing this, and Carrie started coming and has been here pretty much almost the whole time, I think, with us. And she's been a regular every week, besides when she's had to work. And even on the night she works, she comes and leaves beforehand. And we're just really proud to gotten the chance to know her and for her to be part of our family here. And we're just really proud of her.
You're not excused. First of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all have all become like family to me. I need all my sober friends in my life to keep me strong, and y'all have been the connection to that for me. I do also go to another meeting, but I haven't been there greatly as much as I have with y'all, and I really want y'all to know how much you all mean to me.
Are you gonna cry a lot?
I am. Let me give you a little history on that. I was born with no tear ducts.
Let me go get the Kleenex.
So they had to probe them when I was young, and my mother used to tell me I was the biggest crybaby there was because I never should have had tear ducts probed. So, but anyway, I'll try not to, just to make you laugh. My name is Carrie King, and I was born in August of 1970. I know that I am still here with all of y'all today because of the grace of God and all of the prayers that I used to receive from my grandmother Josephine and my mother Linda Turner. I became an addict at a young age. I had my first drink at the age of 14 and my first drunk at the age of 15 in the backyard at a slumber party in Southern California when I was 15 years old. I tried meth for my first time only at that time. I just did it once in a while, so I thought that it was okay. I got pregnant with my first child when I was 20 and gave birth at 21. I did not use during neither one of my pregnancies and had my second son within 2 years after that. And most of us know as addicts, you don't gain weight when you're on meth. So I gained 70 pounds with my first son and lost 23 with my second. So I'm lost here. So I started using again after I had both of my children, and it was to take care of everyday life things. I have always worked, and the stress of not being able to be at a lot of places at one time was hard for me. So I wanted to be able to take care of my children. I worked a full-time job at a bingo hall in Southern California and did the best I can to take care of my children. I began using meth only for energy until at one point in my life I realized that I could not get out of the side of the bed without using.
Amen.
I have always loved to drink, and I usually drink alone. But alcohol has always been a big part of my life from very young age. Then after that, I found marijuana, and it done for me what alcohol did, but more in a relaxing state where it relaxed me to the point where I would stress and use meth all day long so that I could do everything that needed to be done. But at night, I was having a hard time sleeping. When I got a bit older, I was doing all three at the same time. I just wanted to be high. So I did not have to worry about anything in my life, and it was falling apart. I was married to my kid's dad and was very unhappy, and I was overweight also, and I didn't know how to ask for help or do anything about either. So instead of asking for help, that was my way of coping with things, was to use drugs. The older I got, I realized I had a problem. I had got into trouble with the law because I usually stayed low key with my use, mostly done at my home alone. Well, I have always thought of myself as one of the best friends that anyone could ever wish for. Friendship means something to me, where it doesn't mean a lot to any people that I have met in Jackson County, very few. I would do anything to be there for anybody that I call a friend, and that's just who I am as a person. That's the way God made me. After moving back to Alabama in 2003, I stayed to myself for the first 2 years. All I did was work and sleep. I had no car and was living with my folks again. And things got a little better at that time. I met a man and he was a drinker, and I wound up living with him, and we were together for over 10 years. Well, he was a very, very extreme alcoholic, so I started drinking a lot too. Mostly big weekends and parties that we would have get-togethers at his home. I drank so much that I never was a social drinker. If I put a drink to my mouth, it wasn't to have a drink and relax, it was to get hammered.
Amen.
I got really tired of feeling like crap from being hungover all the time and always having alcohol in my everyday life, that I asked my man one day on the way to Thanksgiving at my parents' house if he was happy. And he said yes, and I told him I wasn't. That was at Thanksgiving. By December 9th, I had moved out of his house. When I was writing this, I realized that December 9th date was also the day that I lost my mother 3.5 years ago. My mother died on December the 9th. So it kind of hit base for me a little bit. Matter of fact, I moved in with my friends that are here with me tonight, Mark and Lynn Clemens.
Okay.
And they opened their doors to me and helped me until I worked just a few short weeks. I worked overtime at Sano of America in Scottsboro, 60 hours a week, so that I could move into an apartment at Goose Pond Apartments. I was not drinking a lot when I was there, but did have an occasional drink when I would go to Buster's Pub and Grill in Scottsboro. After 4 years of living at Goose Pond, I moved away with a couple that knew me pretty well, and they needed a nanny for a shutdown project in Tennessee. So I moved away with them because I was getting evicted from my apartment at Goose Pond. And that didn't turn out so well because I came home to visit and there was some misunderstandings. So my father came to Tennessee and helped me move back. We looked like the Beverly Hillbillies in my dad's pickup truck, y'all. He had that so symmetrically packed, it was unbelievable. But my folks have always been there for me, even through the good and the bad. They always bail me out of my issues, even though addiction runs very, very strong in our family on all sides, not just mine. After I came home from Tennessee, I moved in with my friend Sonia Washington, and I lived with her for several months. I always tried to move out of a friend's house when there was no problem, so that possibly I wouldn't lose that friend, because they had helped me and it meant a lot to me. Until my last roommate. I moved in with a young lady by the name of Rachel Burton. When we moved in together, we had no furniture and nothing in our home at all. And I had a laptop computer and just my clothes that I carried on my back. And I, being older, didn't think nothing of it. I loaned her my computer so that she could watch movies, is what I thought. And instead, from the day that I handed her my computer, she set me up for failure. I had my own cleaning business, and I took her with me to pay her to work with me to my cousin's house in Trenton, Georgia. And she took a picture of my cousin's credit card and ran up $2,600 worth of charges, which caused me to get a felony for theft in the second. And I have always been the kind of person that is honored to know that I've never been a thief. Even in my addiction, I was always the person that gave more away than I got people charged for or whatever. And it's, anyway, the state of Alabama got me for 19 counts of credit card fraud on the elderly, and I had no drug charges. They did find a small pill and a set of scales in my possession, and I had contraband at the police station of 1/4 gram of methamphetamines. During plea bargain time, it was very hard for me, and Nick, I pray for you every day with what you're going through. The plea bargain stuff is unreal, because they try to make you take something that you're not in at all happy about. And I kept listening to everybody that day in the courtroom telling the judge in their own words what really happened and, not all the technical terms. And I could not stand in front of that judge and tell him that I did this. She got the same charges as I did, but it was hard for me to say, I stole my cousin's credit card when I knew I didn't do it. And the burden for me is self-pride. I didn't want that label on my back because I've always been a cashier in this town in several different gas stations, and it was hard for me. I was there all alone, and he's like telling me that I should take this bargain, that they had the state DA come over and talk to me and tell me that there's no way they could tell who's sitting behind an IP address, so I was getting charged no matter if I took it all the way. It was really an eye-opener because I had many, many years of my life that I did drugs, dabbled with drugs, whatever, in my life, and I never got in any trouble until a computer was loaned to someone that I thought I could trust. It has truly made me lose the value of a lot of friendship. That's why I value having all of y'all here, because it's not something that y'all want from me like it was out in the drug world. It's like not what I can do for y'all. It's just y'all are here because of the self-love of knowing what I've been through as a person and an addict. So when I went to jail, it was very hard for me. I've spent 3 months in 2023, and I had been on 3 years probation. I'm getting to the end of that journey, which ends in October. But one day I went to my probation officer, and she asked me how I was, and I lost it. I really told her how I was, where most people would have just said, oh, I'm fine. So she asked me, could I pass a drug test? And I told her that I couldn't pass a drug test for marijuana. So she made me sign a document that said that I would fail for marijuana, and she revoked my probation and sent me to rehab. Rehab was one of the best things that ever could have happened to me. And I hear a lot of people talk about going to several rehabs and detox and different things like that. And 30 days was enough for me. I just had 34 days in jail before I went to rehab. But I had a lot of hurt, hatred, discontent in my heart toward this young lady who done this to me, and over missing my mother and some things. I needed time away.
Amen.
And that's how I truly healed my soul and myself, to know that this is not about everybody else. It's about me.
Yeah, get your
And
mind
I've
right.
got to heal me inside in order to go forward with the rest of my life. And I never really thought that drugs was a problem for me until I went to rehab. And that's just honest.
Yeah, we figure out that definitely ain't helping.
Yeah, they figure out that, that it is an issue. When
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, and I really never truly thought that it was. But it was some time away from family and from everybody I know that helped me grow in a different way that it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And I am thankful to Sarah White, which is my probation officer. I'm very thankful to everybody at the bridge in Fort Payne. Lisa Shavers was my counselor there, and they've all been really good to me. And since I've been home, it's been y'all and my other AA meeting in Henniger. I have a sponsor there. I was so excited about everything when I first started going, and then I got this paperwork that I was fixing to start on step 4, and I just kind of froze.
Yeah.
It's like seriously thinking about, like Nick said last week, that you gotta admit to yourself that you're powerless over alcohol and that you're powerless over drugs, any of it, and give it to God and see where you can go from there. And I think that I've came a long way. And I'm very proud to say that next month on June the 5th will be my year that I've been clean and sober.
Praise the Lord.
And by the grace of God and all of y'all's support, keeping me accountable for when I do miss. And my dad is here with me tonight, y'all, the one that I told y'all that he had a cardiac abrasion a few months ago, and he's doing very well. Thank you to the Lord for that. And I just really would like to thank everybody for treated me like family here, and that's about all I got.
All right.
Thank you.